Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create some blank noise. Just so when I see it, I know that's the cut. Welcome to week 2 of Before You Jump with Karl Pearce. We haven't moved. Oh, did you want a break? Do you want to go to the loo or anything? Or are you good to keep going?
Actually, yeah, we're on a roll.
We're going to just keep rolling?
I'm down.
Okay. I should have bought a bucket because we're drinking water.
Oh, that's right. We're doing all right.
Okay, now let's start now. Welcome to week 2 of Before You Jump. If you haven't heard week 1, go back and listen to it. It is on your Spotify, iTunes, whatever podcast addict. So I'm back here with Karl Pearce, and geez, if you didn't listen to the first 50 minutes, you missed a hell of an episode. Karl was hoping to be here, but after he got his nose job, he decided to get his brows done.
Oh, fantastic.
I told him not to. He's got great eyebrows.
Oh, he does.
Yeah, killer eyebrows. But
yeah.
no, well, the other thing is...
Well, I do too, but
yeah.
See, I have to get the middle part done.
Me too. I do too. I shave it in the shower. Yeah. The thing is, he said he was less Tito and more Michael.
Right.
And then he forgot his hair is Eazy-E. So he's like, no, I'm going to go full Eazy-E. Nice. He's getting his skin darkened and all sorts. It's great. He's going to look great. He's going to look
fantastic. As long as he doesn't start, like...
You're going to make an age joke, aren't you?
I was going to make a terrible joke.
I could just see it in your face. You're like, I don't know if I should do this.
Yeah. I was going to go, oh no, I was going to be a Chris Rock joke.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, you were so cleaner than I was then. I was totally going for the Eazy-E died of AIDS joke. But I say that to him quite a lot because he has got Eazy-E. He wears sometimes like a, wears his hats. Yes. If he wears the right one and he wears the right glasses, I'm like, bro, you're the spitting image of Eazy-E, NWA fame, and he's just like, no, I'm not. I'm like, and it doesn't help that we both like NWA. Right. Do you know what I mean? So like,
nice.
So we're back with Karl. We had a real long chat before, which I loved, and a chat I've wanted to have for a long time, and we're going to keep going. This week we're going to talk about Braden. So before we do...
we're not going to use his last name. I don't think you know his last name.
I don't even know his last name.
Oh, that's fantastic.
No, I just know
it's just
Braden.
His last name isn't my last name.
No, yeah, cool.
So
respect.
He had his mum's last name, and so his family is still going through...
Oh, yeah. I would imagine that's going to be for life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I totally respect that. But before we do, 2 things I want to cover. One is obviously the show is a mental health show, and we have talked about suicide before on the show.
Absolutely.
Because me and Cal's that. I always think of this runs through my head at least twice a week, probably. Robin Williams, I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
His best friend, and people don't know this, and when I tell them, they're like, no, that's not right. I'm like, legit, look it up. Robin Williams' best friend was Bobcat Goldthwait. He's one of my all-time favourite comedians because he was so old comedy.
Yep. He
was so out there and so different, and I got a sense of humour, and not a lot of people did. I got it more as I became a comedian. Anyway, him Bobcat Goldthwait were best friends. They would do the clubs together. And after Robin Williams died, he did an interview. Well, he did lots of interviews, obviously, but he did an interview talking about it. And the interviewer said something that you could see upset him, but he's like, this needs to be said. Is the interviewer said to him, did Robin ever talk about suicide? And Bobcat gave what I think is a perfect answer. He goes, you don't understand, we're comedians.
Right.
That's all we think about. I think what he meant was we're comedians with mental health.
Yeah.
And that's all we think about. And he goes, we would do a set and come and sit back down and go, how was that? Oh, it was great. I love this bit. I love that bit. Yeah. So how would you do it? Oh, well, blah, blah, blah. And I think about that probably more than I should.
Right.
But I think about it in a way that is relieving to me because it makes me not feel alone. Like if
Mm.
these two idols, like they were my idols,
Yeah.
and
yeah.
in fact I didn't.
I mean, so many people were shocked, but
Yeah,
I think that's because we saw the movie Robin Williams.
100%.
Yeah,
You didn't see the real,
exactly.
and so that interview showed me that it doesn't matter how good you have it. It doesn't matter how much money is in the bank. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
exactly.
I also think a lot about Chester Bennington from Linkin Park.
Yep.
Chris Cornell, I love Chris Cornell, but Chester Bennington, I love Linkin Park, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think about that a lot. I was like, that dude was in the biggest band at one stage probably in the world.
Yep.
They've
Yep.
maybe not at the time,
Yep.
but still, like that band, no matter what, could sell out arenas.
Mm-hmm.
He had a loving family. It didn't matter, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
No, it matters. But do you know what I mean? Like to the individual, they don't see that.
Exactly.
Those things aren't
Yes.
happiness.
Yeah.
They're just things.
Yeah,
You know?
because mental health isn't just about that.
No, totally. So, I guess that's the trigger warning. Like, I don't like that term, but I guess that's the warning I want to give people. That this talk might be a bit heavy for us both, but if you're listening, I had it. Sorry, I have something prepared.
Oh, brilliant.
Um,
Because every time I do an interview with Radio New Zealand or with anyone, I have to be aware that of the content, but also actually how my son did what he did,
Yeah.
where he did.
yeah, and
so
if we
that
can,
is-
we'll talk about that. But
Yeah,
if you're listening to this and you're feeling like that, do you know what I mean? Like if it's there, 0800 543 354. That's the number. Call them. That's Lifeline. That's the one I always give.
oh, fantastic. Yeah,
That's why I had it ready.
Yeah.
That's the one I always give. There's more.
yeah.
Please.
There's like a text 17.
There's all
3,
sorts.
4.
There's everything. But that's the one I always give. And whatever. Find the one that helps you. If you have a church, go see your pastor.
Yeah.
Go see your priest. Go see your
Absolutely.
imam.
Go
see your rabbi.
churches have prayer chains.
That's it. Go see whoever you need to.
Yeah, absolutely.
There was one other thing I was going to say. Oh, hold on, sorry, mate. Let me check my
That's
notes real quick.
I'll just have a water.
Have a water, mate.
A water in a bucket.
A water in a bucket. I can get your bin if you want. No, we'll leave it at that. I think I've covered what I wanted to say. Do you want to add anything to that?
No, and I think, and for me also is just, that's as much for myself as well, to understand that there are people out there listening who, I just want to make sure that people are aware that topics of my son is difficult, but also how that has affected like myself.
Yeah, and then we mentioned that in the car, like there's
which is a whole other thing again. So.
Yeah. And that's that's what I was going to say. Thank you. Yes, I got it. I couldn't see it in my notes, but you just reminded me. Like this podcast, and you're a big influence on this podcast. We've told you that before. Like we've had a real good talk once, and it made a massive change to our.
Oh yes,
made a massive change to our visual look of the show, because we're an audio show, obviously.
Yeah.
That the audio hasn't changed, but the visual look of our show has changed, and that.
Cows is pushing. Is it you pushing cows into a
It
dog?
doesn't matter. It's us. It's us.
It's
I've
you
always
guys.
said I'm the one in the Jurassic Park uniform because that's my favourite show.
Fantastic.
But it doesn't matter. That image can be looked at two ways, and I wanted that purposely. When I took that photo, I purposely did that. It could be looked as someone holding you back or pushing you not off, but pushing you to face things.
Right. Cool.
So the dog is in the image, but it's pushing you to face the dog, not turn away.
Right.
Because that was my issue for a long time. Even when we started, that was my issue.
Yeah.
I wouldn't face it. I would turn away.
Right.
I would suppress, not deal with. Right.
Absolutely. Which
could be
is
looked
what
at,
a lot
though.
of us alcoholics do as well. For me, I can only talk for me. Like we all have a drug of choice, But for me, it's alcohol, and so that was part of it too, whether knowingly or not.
I wish we talked about that more. Future episode, eh?
Future episode,
Bookmark it. Let's talk about your son.
Yes.
Let's start with him.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell me more about him.
So, I suppose his mother and I had a interesting relationship before he came along. It was one of just good fun, basically. And we enjoyed each other's company, and we enjoyed drinking in each other's company to excess. We both had our own issues that we weren't dealing with, but we were also in a place where that worked for both of us. I think there's a saying that that has just gone. I don't know why that's happening right now on your show, but it's
you and me both today, man.
I know.
We're
I don't know what it is. Yeah, it'll come to, and it's a really good one too, because it's something like there's always it's like there's always ease and disease, like there's within particular destructive actions, there's a reason for them. Like that, there's a soothing reason for them. You wouldn't be doing them if they were just purely not working in some way. And so for me and his mum, just our combined alcoholism and joy of just being drunks, and then just cruising around doing whatever, just worked,
Sure.
And so, and then she got pregnant, and she decided that she wanted to keep him, and I said, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
How what do you want to play with that? As far as I'm, and she said, well, I don't love you, so see ya.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay then. So I'll let you know when he's born, kind of thing.
Yeah. Can I just ask a weird question? Was that the expected answer? Like in hindsight?
In hindsight, no,
okay,
it wasn't.
That's cool. Don't have to answer anymore about
and it took me a long time to get over that as well. It took me a very long time to get over that. That's what happened, because I did actually love her.
Yes.
And
okay. Yeah. Mike.
That's all right. But I came to the conclusion that she is doing what's right for her.
For her, yeah.
She had the support of her family, which was fantastic.
Yeah.
And so I just said, well, who am I to get in the way of that?
Yeah.
As long as I get to have a relationship, meet my boy, and we can work on that. Which in those early years, we managed to do that quite well while she was living in the city.
Yeah.
So, but he was a very chilled out young fella, quite intelligent. I would talk to him about the most powerful thing that he had is his imagination.
Yeah.
And so we would help him grow his imagination, but he had a really inquiring mind as well.
Yeah.
So, for example, when he was very young, he seemed to have some dexterity that was a little bit beyond his usual like dexterity that you would expect, and so he would be able to pull things apart that he shouldn't have been able to pull apart. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then he was also very chilled out young fellow as well. So when I take him swimming and would stick him in one of those blow up donuts.
Oh, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
and he'd just fall asleep,
Yeah.
you know, and I'd just be looking at him going, dude, you know, like, what are you doing? But he was just happy. He was asleep. He was happy. So, you know, sweet ass. Or when I'd walk him around in his pram, he would just lay back and just cross his like feet.
Oh, and just chill.
Just chill.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he wasn't a high maintenance
Yeah.
child.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now some of this, I don't know. Some of this kind of dives into his mother's personal issues. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether I'm going to do that. But
Yeah.
But-
cool. Yeah.
the upshot is that we always knew that he would at some point in time need to have counselling.
Sure. Yeah.
By we I mean me.
Mm.
Yeah. So and I'm being very careful.
Yep. No, I
with-
respect
with-
that.
Yeah, out of respect for his mother's
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
Because and his mother obviously.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
Because we always knew, and when she moved, my access to him became very limited.
Sure.
Like, extremely limited.
Yeah.
Much more so than what I had. I had Braden every week.
Yeah.
Up until he was 11, and then they moved away, and so for the rest of his teenage years, mostly my talking to him was sometimes through Messenger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I thought it was just me,
Mm.
but I later learnt that actually it wasn't just me; it was the rest of his family as well. So he got quite cut off.
Okay.
From all his support that he had, you know, when he was much younger.
Yeah.
Particularly his grandparents, who were his rock, you know. Like when things went wrong in his little home life,
Yeah.
he had his grandparents, his mother's mum and dad, to go to.
Yeah.
And that was a really safe place for him.
Yeah.
And he was always welcome there, and he could be there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah. So that
That
he
really
didn't have
impacted,
that.
obviously.
He didn't have
Yeah.
that as well. So a whole new place. But I later found out after his funeral, or at his funeral,
Yeah.
so that he had found other people, other friends,
Cool.
where he could
That's
go
good.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's that resilience stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes I know my life, I'm sure other people have, and maybe you have, is that sometimes those friends are stronger. The support you need, because sometimes those friends are, me and Cal's, for example, we know what we're going through. I think the same with you and I. Sometimes you've messaged me and I've been like, I know exactly what he's saying.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we continue to, I don't know, maybe every 3 weeks we check in with each other?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not on schedule. There's no schedule, but...
Yeah, exactly. But every now and then, you know, someone pops into my head and I go, I wonder, I haven't heard from them in a while.
Yeah. But sometimes finding those friends is so powerful. Anyway, sorry, continue. I didn't mean to interrupt. I just want to say
that's
that...
right,
Yeah, I completely understand how those friends might have impacted him.
And their friends' parents as well, which is huge.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So, his friends' parents had opened up their house to him as if he was just another, you know, part of the family. So that when I heard that, that just meant so much.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great.
Because I knew that he really, you know, had somewhere safe to go to when he didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is massive.
Yeah.
And So yeah, and I thanked them at the funeral, and then later on I got to take them through a friend of mine did an art piece
Yeah.
on Braden, and it's actually in the Radio New Zealand article, and yeah,
I've seen it.
yes,
I'm sorry, I read
yeah.
the article. And it has a picture of the. It's amazing.
Yeah,
it's absolutely
it's
amazing.
fantastic. And each of those little squares is a picture of him
Yeah.
growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah.
Sorry, that piece. Just before I forget, where is it? Like, where can people see it? Because I'd love to. But or is it coming?
It's. I have it on PDF form.
Okay.
Because the artist has provided it, but so the artist, it's her work. So she has the copyright over it, but she allows me to use it for, if I wanted to use it for fundraising, or if I wanted to use it for, the article and that. So, and she's an artist I've known for very long. She's a local artist.
Great. Local artist. Okay,
absolutely.
Cool.
Yeah.
Can you keep me posted if that piece comes up for display anywhere?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I just think the listeners will.
Yeah. Absolutely,
it's really cool.
I mean, I've got it myself.
Yeah, no, keep it for yourself, and
but,
out of respect to the artist.
Yeah.
But if it comes up, then
she is thinking of putting it into another. She's got a series of people who she knows, who have. She has close relationships with their families who have passed away of suicide.
Yeah.
But and so she does similar things.
Oh wow.
And she's just slowly building a portfolio of particularly the focus is on male Māori who have committed suicide.
Yeah.
For her.
Yeah.
And that's her particular vision, but of course she can do others as well.
Anyway,
so
let's keep going.
Yeah,
little sidetrack. Sorry.
No, absolutely. But that things like that, and to be able to talk about him in public, and like here, and do the comedy. These are cathartic for me, because. And I'll talk about how that is a little bit down the track, I suppose, but Braden. So taking a step back from that, Braden was also an artist himself. So art became, because of his imagination.
Yeah.
Art became a way for him to express himself and how he feels.
Yeah.
And that's awesome. So a lot of people would say that at school they would find him around the art room, the art, and he was quite intelligent and quite a philosopher in a sense. He would be able to see things outside the box.
Yeah.
But in talking with him as well, one of his things as a teenager, that really bothered him, like his mental health, was actually he was diagnosed with where you keep doing the same thing over and over again. So, but his wasn't like that.
Yeah.
Not ADD, because it's not it's OCD.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry. So OCD. He was diagnosed with OCD, but not the one where you click on the light switch. It would be that he would get a thought in his mind.
Yeah.
And then it would, would stay there and just roll around and roll around and roll around, and it would. And night time was the worst time for him.
Yeah.
So, he had really bad sleeping habits, patterns, because of just his mind would just keep going. He hadn't learnt the skills to be able to turn that off. I saw a fantastic drawing, and I'll share it with you. I'll send it through.
Yeah, cool.
And you can put it on somewhere.
I'll put it on a post. Yeah.
Yep. And there's a guy just talking about his mental health, and then but coming out of his mind is just colours. Like yeah.
Okay. It's so funny you say that.
Yeah, and it's all just colours coming out of his mind. Like it's not speech bubbles. It's not. It's just like colours, just streaming out of his mind. And and for Braden, that was constant.
Yeah. Yeah.
He couldn't get away from it.
Yeah.
And I think part of that was because he was still a teenager.
Yeah.
And so, teenage hormones is still going to play a large part in how the brain is still forming in that.
Yeah.
But for him, certain things that we would probably find wondrous was it was like having pins stuck in his eyes.
Yeah.
It was like, it became horrible for him because he could never stop it. He could never get away from it.
Yeah. I had something like that when I was young. Probably, maybe even about his age. I had something similar anyway, where it was afraid of burning.
Right.
Like constant fear of it. Do you know what I mean? In fact, when I was even younger than that, I had one, and it came from, I can tell you exactly where it came from. I was staying with family, and I was in my cousin's room, and they were all asleep, and his mum and dad were up watching TV, and I could hear it, and I was just listening. I wasn't really tuning in, and it was about a comet. It was about... it's one of those American shows like Potential Doomsday Scenario. Do you know what I mean? Like, and this was about a comet hitting the Earth.
Yep.
And it scared me for the longest time because they said you might not even know. You know.
Yeah.
And then of course, not long afterwards, those Armageddon, Deep Impact movies came out, and I got over that fear because Bruce Willis will save us. No, eventually I grew out of that fear. Yeah. So, do you want a chocolate, love? All right.
He's not talking to me.
Yeah. Thank you for visiting. My daughter just came to visit.
Just to he's not talking to me. Radio is a funny beat.
Yeah.
and I suppose touching on that too, the whole, giving our younger generation hope because we do, we do things like doom scrolling, and having to say we can save our planet because we have to give our younger people hope that there is going to be something for them to grow up, to have, to enjoy. We are leaving this planet to our kids, and we want them to be around to do it.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. That's been a big thing for me the last few years, funnily enough. It's like, what will my kids have to deal with?
Yeah.
I think about it a lot. Braden, so like you said, he's very artistic, creative,
absolutely,
strong imagination,
personable,
yeah. Everyday type kid.
Yeah.
In the bigger sense of things, you know what I mean? Like,
not really. In the sense that, like his favourite colour was pink. He sort of liked to purposefully put himself outside the box.
Gotcha.
Much more like me than like his parents, like his family. So they didn't really understand him. Yeah. Because, whereas my family, would more understand him because my family are
kind of a bit more out of the box.
Yeah.
No. Okay, cool. I think that puts it in a good context. Yeah. I just want to paint a picture for everyone who, like me, didn't know him. Hold on. What? Go for a swim then. No, go. It's fine. Because I didn't know him.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I
I
think
that.
people need to. I just think it's important to paint a picture of. Look, the thing for me
No,
is
I understand that
yeah.
too, because Radio New Zealand wanted me to do that too, and I was like, well, we've only got so much time.
So,
you know.
well, we've got all the time in the world, but
yeah.
the thing is, and the reason I asked that about like everyday kid, and the reason I asked that is because like, like my daughter's 14.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And she's at that age where she's trying to find her pocket of creativity. She's tried sewing. She got really into sewing. Now it's cooking, and there's been lots of other things. Do you know what I mean? But she hasn't quite found her
groove.
Do you know what I mean? And I hear you say a lot of these things, and I see not all of it. She's probably not as she doesn't. She's artistic. She won't admit it. She won't harness it like he did.
Yep.
Which makes me sad, but that's fine. She feels it's not her
these
thing.
things take time though. It's,
yeah. So as we go through this, I think of
your kids.
Yeah. And I just think there's probably other dads and mums listening who think of their
absolutely.
And maybe they're not teenagers yet. Maybe they're still young. But
absolutely.
anyway, that's what I want to get is that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Continue the story. Sorry.
No, that's all right. So yeah, and that is important too. I mean, he is one. You know, he is a school kid. He had a job at the local Foursquare.
Yeah.
You know, packing shelves, and you know, so he got into trouble. He was cheeky.
Yeah.
You know, but he didn't get into big trouble.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So, you know, he wasn't doing ram raids or anything. You know?
Yeah.
He would stay a bit like down the skate park and he might spray paint, you know, like but he wasn't out to hurt anyone.
More, would you say it's more testing?
Yeah, absolutely.
Testing the boundaries sort of thing.
Which
is very teenage.
Him and his mates.
Yeah.
You know, and
I'm sure you could say you were the same. I was the same.
Oh, totally. You know,
Yeah.
I grew up in Woodville.
Yeah.
You know,
There's nothing to do but test the boundaries. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And so, you know, of course, and he was in a small town.
Yep.
At the time too. I don't know if I should say what town.
No,
but
he was in a small town. That's all we need to know. A Woodville-like town.
A Woodville-like town.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, and of course, you know, him and his mates would go out later on and you know, would hang out and get into a bit of trouble as well.
Yeah.
And so he was a teenage boy.
Yes.
And yeah, he was a teenage boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but we always knew that he would need to talk about the stuff that he went through as a child.
Further support.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No, cool.
It wasn't a matter of if, it was just a matter of when, and when he was ready. And I suppose what got us when he moved away from the small town and came back to Palmerston North and started UCOL, was that he, you know, it looked like he was doing the right things, if that makes sense. Like on the outside,
he was.
He was
progressing in life.
He was progressing. It was like he was doing the things that he should be to be a healthy adult. You know what I mean? Like we've got this whole thing where you know, this whole idea of what a healthy contributing member of society
that
is,
whole
you know,
married with 2.5 kids, whatever it is, white picket fence, blah blah blah.
Exactly. You know,
the thing.
we want our teenagers to, you know, to be contributing members to society, and there's this whole thing around that, you know, and Braden would have been a contributing member of society, just in his own way. Yeah,
and I think this is a discussion for another episode, because I want to stay on him, but I don't want to divert too much like we did the last one. But like, Yeah, I think. Do you know what? I think I've thought about this every time we've had children, and even we had Braden 3 years ago, and I always think like my one hope is that the society they're in is different from the society we grew up in.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like
I totally know. What
move
you mean.
away from, and I believe it is.
It
I don't
totally
think
is.
it's there.
It is.
Yeah.
It absolutely
move away
is.
from the whole white picket fence metaphor, if you will. Anyway, let's continue with Brad. Let's not get sidetracked to politics again.
That's not politics. That's
or philosophy.
That's philosophy.
Yeah.
Sociology.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. And
Yeah.
and one of those things with my son, and we all as parents, we just basically want them to be happy.
Yeah.
And we want.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and happy adults.
Yeah.
Happy kids, happy adults. That's that. I think as good parents, that's just the baseline.
Yeah.
And is just we want our kids to be happy.
Yeah.
And then do what we can. I mean, we want them to be happy and good people. We don't want them to be sociopaths or psychopaths. We want them to be happy and nice people, sort of well-rounded.
Yeah.
But also not stifle their creativity or their uniqueness. And Braden had his own things going for him that made him Braden.
Yeah.
And I love that about him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His uniqueness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just who he is.
Yeah.
And so I was looking forward to seeing him, open up.
Yeah.
Be in a situation, being in a place where you could open up and do that.
Yeah.
But I think that what happened for him was those intrusive thoughts he couldn't get rid of.
Sure.
And while he was able to connect to the system, and sometimes he was able to connect to the right people in the system.
Yeah.
As he moved from when he had his first suicide attempt, that we're aware of because he was doing things that were unhealthy. How can I say? Oh gosh. Well, he was cutting.
Yeah.
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 And he had seen that before with family members and his peers, and so we knew that there was always going to be issues around, the stuff that he had seen.
Yeah.
Although we weren't overly aware to what extent.
Sure.
But so the first time he ended up in A&E and he got seen, and he was taken home.
Yeah.
And that was at the beginning of October.
Yeah.
And he was deemed to not be a risk to himself. Yeah. But several weeks later, but he was seen a psychiatrist that he knew, so that one started up then. But he'd been in and out of what's called CAFS, so Child, Adolescent and Family Services.
Oh, okay.
Through the hospital.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So they deal with children from, I think it's about age 5 to approximately 23. They can stop at 18, but sometimes they'll go through to 23, especially if the person has a good relationship with their counsellor.
Yeah.
But what we found was when he felt unsafe, he knew in himself that he was unsafe.
Yeah.
So he went to A&E, and then they put him inside the ward.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was in there for about a week before he committed suicide.
Can I just sorry, before we keep going, I was just going to say one thing that again, I didn't know Braden. So this is it's hard to connect
Yeah.
I guess that's how I could say it. It's hard
yeah.
to sort of think, but I do want to give him a compliment that you just said, which was he recognised in himself.
Yep.
What for a young person to do that,
and reach out.
amazing,
and reach out as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just think that's
so him and his nan. He went.
Yeah.
And so I give she had always been his anchor.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah.
And
that's amazing because as adults, I can't even do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, in all seriousness, I laugh, but I'm like, in all seriousness, that is for a young person to do that is so amazing. So anyway, sorry, I just want to tell you that. Please keep going.
No, that's good. Yeah, and so and even right up to the day before.
Yeah.
Before he committed suicide, inside the ward. A place where he's not supposed to have been able to.
Yeah.
The day before, he told them he was unsafe.
Yeah.
And that's in the report.
Yeah.
And then the next morning he was found. He committed suicide in his room. They found him before he totally died. Which happens quite often.
Yeah.
But sometimes just the air.
Okay. Yeah. All right.
You might, yeah.
Didn't want to hear that, but continue. It's all right. It's part of the story. I gotta take the whole story. So.
So sometimes what is that your oxygen is cut off for such a long time that parts of the brain have.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. That's a better way.
Past the point of no return.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
And so
I don't want to talk about how.
No,
because I don't think it's
and while we can probably
to
talk about how here, because we're sort of an open forum, I'm aware that actually, if I did, there's repercussions of because in the report, there's 54 recommendations approximately of changes that the hospital has to do. 54,
Yeah.
And so far my understanding is that 8 have been, either done, and none of those
54.
Yeah. And none of those are to do with the physicality of. One of them is in progress around the physicality.
Yeah.
But that isn't about stopping.
Yeah.
Someone commit suicide.
Yeah.
That is about knowing what, like, video cameras inside a ward.
Yeah.
Right. Is about 3 things really: safety.
Yeah.
Well, two are overarching safety. So one is about safety of the women's wing and the men's wing.
Sure.
So that's particularly for the women's wing, you don't want men,
of course,
wandering up and down the women's wing, and especially with women who have fear issues around men and so that and the other safety thing is so that nurses and that who are in the booth, while they can see down some parts of the ward, they can't see the whole ward, so safety around that.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yep. But another part that people don't think about is when a death like Braden's or even a close call happens, and they happen in the ward a lot more often than what you may think. People who try and get caught in time. Like what they do is they try to commit suicide, but they get caught either slightly after or just before they've committed the act. Yeah. And so that's a close call.
Close call, yeah.
Yeah. And so to be able to see So, for example, the inquests that I was on, the we're getting close to the end, aren't we?
Oh, bro, like I said, we can go as long as we want. Like, this is our podcast.
Yeah.
We can do...
Oh, I could go on for
I know.
a lot
But
longer, which is actually really scary.
Keep in mind, I was going to call you cows, bro.
So I'll just finish that part, and
Okay,
then
yeah.
we'll. So as far as inquests go,
Yeah.
we want to know what happened,
Yeah.
and so video footage
Yeah.
of what's going on provides a huge part of around how we understand,
Yeah.
like how long it took for the first person to get there, how long
Yeah.
it took for the crash cart to get
Sure,
there,
sure.
how long it took for because the crash team is actually not inside the Ward 21.
Okay.
The crash team is actually just a team of doctors who are around the hospital, and so how
Yeah.
long it takes them to get there. So those things that you wouldn't think of just as a normal person rocking around the street.
Yeah, no, I've never thought of that.
Yeah.
You know,
So-
I worked in a goddamn hospital.
Yeah. I mean, in 2014, for example, the crash cart was inside the ward,
Yeah.
but the defibrillator was at the next ward over.
Yeah.
So somebody would grab the crash cart and somebody else would have to grab the defibrillator.
Yeah.
So since then, the defibrillator is now with the crash cart. I know, it seems simple.
Sorry, I roll my eyes because it's so simple, but I guess until do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Until these things happen, like you said, in 2014,
Yeah.
you just don't
Exactly.
put one and one.
Yeah.
It's I give you the perfect example of this. Sorry, this is a silly example, but it paints a picture. I was watching my favorite movie, Jurassic Park, today.
Right.
And there was something I noticed, and I'd never noticed it before, and that was there's a scene, it doesn't matter, the Tyrannosaurus comes out, blah, blah, blah. Sam Neill opens a box to get a flare, and there's a thing, I can't remember what, a torch of 3 flares and a fire extinguisher. And I couldn't stop thinking about the fire extinguisher. And I go, what an odd place to put a fire extinguisher in this box, not
on the
readily
wall.
in the car, like in a clip. Like our work cars have a little clip.
Yep.
You can just reach and grab it. And then I thought about it, I was like, well, it's an electric car, there's no petrol. But still, no. But then I thought about it more, and I was like, but the flares are combustible.
Yes.
That's why they're
But the flares are combustible. Here we go, though. We're going to go on a funny tangent here. The flares are... But while the flares are combusting, where are they combusting?
Oh, yeah, okay, good. Yes. See, and so someone's probably gone, well, the defibrillator... You know what I mean? Anyway, let's keep going.
But so why the... So what... So we... But there wasn't a camera for Braden, for the men's section, because their safety wasn't as important as the women's section safety.
Which I guess
And their minds.
Designed,
And
when
their
they're
minds.
designing this,
Yeah.
is probably very logical.
Well,
They design those cameras for a purpose, like you said.
exactly.
And I guess they never figured of more purposes.
Yeah.
You can't blame the designers if they're not
If it's
knowledgeable
not,
in that
yeah,
mental
exactly.
health capacity.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry, I'm not giving an excuse.
No.
I'm just giving reasoning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but once you know, you'd think, oh, okay, well, let's do this.
Yeah. Again,
Yeah,
this is a
well,
hindsight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is that in 2014,
Yeah.
the last reports came out.
Yeah.
Well, that there's no footage for my son's inquest
Yeah.
in 2021.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
what's happened between nothing.
Yeah.
As far as that goes, forms have changed and
Yeah, like you said, 8 out of 54
so far
so far. Yeah. To date.
to date. But again, we talk about other inquests and they had recommendations too. So so disappointing.
Yeah. So obviously there's an investigation. So I don't want to dive, which is still ongoing.
Yep.
And I think it's important, if you're happy to, that we revisit one day.
Well, that's all right
When
because
it's
it'll be very public anyway.
Oh no, but
Yeah.
I just. Sorry, my mic cut. I just think it's. Man, it's getting tired. I think it'd be nice to revisit one day as a next step, like when it's all done.
Yeah.
When just the inquiry. I mean,
Absolutely.
I just think it's important for people to know, like, there is. I guess I'm trying to be glass half full here. There is the inquiry is going to result in some changes. Now, I know the last inquiry has resulted in 8 of 54, but let's see. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm trying to be
and
a
I
bit
think in a
optimistic,
funny
I
way
guess.
that's what Braden's mum is trying to do as well. So she doesn't want to rock any boats there.
Yeah.
But and seeing the history of how Ward 21 has kind of worked.
Yeah.
And working with families whose children have passed away inside the ward and other and not just that. I mean that other people who have committed suicide.
Yeah.
You know, who have either just walked out the door.
Yeah.
You know, like they got said you can go.
Yeah.
And they walked out the door down the road and committed suicide.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Or two of them on the grounds.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's something more.
Yeah, and I think this is also, it's important for people to remember, for listening as well, this isn't just a Ward 21 and Palmerston North thing.
No.
This is a bigger...
It's a bigger thing.
A national issue.
Absolutely.
That, I know, I see your posts, I see Mike King's, this is isn't it a hard one where the decision makers, I was thinking about this the other day, yesterday, funnily enough, how, like, I was thinking about counsellors and psychiatrists, and how, though the mahi they do is good,
yep.
when you're not walking in those shoes,
yeah,
it's a hard one.
I talk about and I brought it up in, when I was talking with the hospital, and of course it's they don't want to say that their workers, their nurses, are incompetent. They don't want to say that.
Yeah.
You know, they absolutely, it's the last thing that they want to say.
Yeah.
But I question, because we talk about patients, and people in jail, for example, as being institutionalized. You know, so we talk about so we talk about people being institutionalized. You know, people with mental health illnesses being institutionalized. We talk about people who are in and out of jail being institutionalized. But we don't talk about those who are working in those systems for.
Sorry, keep talking.
That's all right.
My mic is giving me grief.
Yeah. So we don't talk about people who are working in those systems who are institutionalized.
Yeah.
You know, and you know they say these words about like code words like best practice, or you know, and then when you ask, well, what does best practice actually mean, and what does it look like? And my fear with regards to Ward 21 is that it's also a teaching institution.
Yes, yeah.
And so if what they are saying is, you know, teaching is this is best practice.
Yeah.
Well, actually, you know, we had a nurse in one of the past coroner's inquests. Yeah. And he said he had travelled, you know, across Australia, New Zealand and America.
Yeah.
And, you know, looking at how other institutions have been run. And Palmerston North is definitely not a institution that practices, you know, that is a best practice.
Yeah.
So what he found sad was that there were people coming out of Gukau and Te Wānanga who had this idea that, you know, this is what best practice is, when actually it isn't. Yeah. So what, you know, so there's these lovely code words that they use, that institutions use.
Yeah.
But, they don't really want to talk about the institutions being institutionalized.
I do also think that there's something I want to say but I can't. I'll tell you why later. But I do, yeah. It is a hard one, and like I said, there's also that hard part of, like you said, experienced people like the nurse you mentioned who's been around the world, and people who are coming out of study with the most recent study. Yeah. They're coming out with the most latest practice theory, whatever you want to call it. And then there's, and I don't want to be derogatory to anyone, but there's bean counters.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And sometimes those two things don't.
They collide.
Yeah. And I don't want to even limit to bean counters. There's people, decision makers, for lack of a better term, who maybe don't, like I said, they haven't walked in those shoes of not just the patients, but the people on the nurses, the doctors, the medical assistants, who see a lot and try and say, look, we need, or this would be, or can we change? No.
Yeah.
Because it's the way we've always done it. Yeah. And I think that also is a bigger societal thing.
Or the big thing is that's a great idea. Just write it down in the ideas book. And then it doesn't really go.
Doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
I think
and that feeling of that the ideas book is basically just useless now. And so after so many times of making, of saying, hey, this would actually help our staff.
Yeah.
That's awesome, write it in the ideas book.
Yeah.
And it not really go, you kind of get a little bit frustrated, or you just go, you know what? What's the point?
Yeah. The other thing is...
That's the institutionalising their staff.
I do, and I think it's even things like, and I think about this a lot, I'll tell you why afterwards off here, but, the way... I believe this is such a Kiwi thing, and I believe that only because of research I've done for my own curiosity about other countries, particularly European countries, is how as Kiwis we rename things to not hide, but to soften what things are.
Okay.
And I'll give you an example, and I think this is a perfect example. You, me, I'm guilty of this as much as anyone else. I'm not throwing anyone under the bus. We call it Ward 21. If you called that, if you rename that ward mental health rehabilitation, mental health wellness clinic, something that describes what it is and not a negative connotation. Yeah. A wellness, this is about wellness.
Absolutely.
Which is what that ward is meant to be.
Absolutely.
That's the philosophy behind the ward, if you will. I don't know if they have a mission statement, but it should be to help people. Yeah, like you were talking about rehab last episode.
And actually, the right person in charge would probably do that.
Yes.
But again, they're up to bean counters, and they're up to Like
so it has that stigmatism over it, which I think it's not just about the ward; it's about mental health in general in this country. Has a stigmatism where we push it away.
And I think, even the clients,
the visitors,
the people who are in there.
Yeah.
Tangata whai ora for a better, so they are the people who are trying to get well.
Yes.
The whai ora.
Yeah.
Have a nickname for the place. I think. I know it used to be called Club 21.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which in itself, I'm sorry, is a better name than Ward 21. But yeah. And I say this because,
or just as so well known as the ward.
The ward, yeah. I think there is an element in this country of but hiding mental health. Do you know what I mean? And that's part of our thing. We've got to stop doing that. We've got to talk about it.
And I think in a way we degrade sometimes what we fear as well.
That's such a good point. Yeah. Such a good point, yeah.
And so...
Sorry, I didn't mean to go off on that tangent.
That's fine. That's
still
what it's all about. Yes, yeah.
But
that's also that whole, that manager that had been there for such a long time, had heard that from someone else.
100%.
Yeah. And
100%. Yeah.
And so you have now the institutionalisation of staff. which they don't want to touch because they
Yep.
don't want to say that it's happening, and
Yeah.
they don't want to say that they have bad staff.
No, and I do like to think, from being in hospital not long ago, this
Not
year,
all of them are bad.
No.
It's just, some of them
Yep.
have been there for such a long time. They've been just,
Yes.
whittled down over time that
It's now
and
a job.
They're there
Yeah.
to because they've got a mortgage that
yes,
they need to
it's a
pay.
paycheck.
Yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, it is what it is.
yeah.
It is what
sadly.
it is, and you can't. Yeah. Anyway, let's get back to Braden.
Yeah.
I do kind of want to wrap this up because I want these episodes to not be too long, but we can do more episodes. That's
that's
the
not a
cool
problem.
thing.
Yeah.
Is that you, like I said, see, you're a content generator. I told you, because we're banging on
Fantastic.
2 hours in total for these. Let's sum it up. I want to ask you two things. I want a good. Do you have a funny, fun, a good memory, a Braden memory that you want to share?
Oh, lots of them.
Like one that
Hey.
that is like a nice, a go-to for
Well,
you.
my friend actually talks about it, and Braden
Yeah.
loved magic because in
Oh,
magic,
okay.
yeah, because in magic is sleight of hand,
Yes.
and magic is that
Yes.
trickster type stuff.
Yes.
In magic, there's that technical hand movements that
Yeah.
he just really.
Oh, I
loved.
can see why that would appeal.
and imagination.
Yeah.
You know, and a little bit of that stand-up patter.
Yeah. It's
You know,
entertainment.
it's entertainment.
It's mystical. It's all.
Yeah, but there's also that gotcha moment.
Yeah.
Where you do the magic, and he loved doing close-up magic, of course.
That's
And that's where it all starts for
yeah. That's
magicians,
my
I
bag
think.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that, and so, and growing up, Braden and I used to do magic together because that was a passion of his, and so
Yeah.
I would buy the magic sets.
Oh, how awesome!
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I always wanted as a kid.
Yeah. Well, I'd buy him those, and
Yeah, that's great.
We'd spend time,
Yeah,
doing
learning.
that and learning and practicing that, and then,
Yeah.
he'd want to take the sets home, which was difficult because then I knew that they'd never come back,
Yeah.
and so I, it was one of those things that I
Yeah.
just, but learn how to make the things.
Yeah.
Like some tricks are just easy to do with a piece of string or a pack of cards. So I'd say, here you go, here's a pack of cards, here's what you need to turn that pack into a magic pack,
Gotcha. Yeah.
And so, and maybe that also helped his creative side as well.
Yeah.
And so, another friend of mine, he loves magic,
Yeah.
and he loves tricking people with magic himself.
Yeah.
And Braden goes, oh yeah, and he waltzes up to my mate, and he does this magic trick, and my friend is going, oh my god,
Yeah.
how'd you do that?
Yeah.
And of course, Braden has just swagger. He just gave him a smile,
Yeah.
just a knowing, cheeky smile. That whole magician never tells.
Yeah.
And just spun around with that smile on his face and walked off.
Oh,
Just
class.
chuffed.
Yeah, drop the
chuffed.
mic as
dropped
we
the
do,
mic
yeah,
moment.
comedy,
boom.
yeah.
It chuffed that he'd, just done.
Nice.
Done.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
Great memory. One more thing, because you did it last week.
Oh, far out.
We
Yes.
in the show with a Before You Jump. Is there anything else? Now, Before You Jump, Get Up was last week.
Was last week.
Which is funny because Callum, Wagstaff,
Yeah.
who was also doing the 24-hour pod. His was Before You Jump, Have a Sleep.
Yes.
But that's
yes.
also a good one.
Yes, that's a good one
But
too.
then Get Up.
Yes. Yeah, and get up.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is harder actually than really want to, but make the move,
Yeah.
So, call a mate.
That's good.
And you don't actually have to get up to call a mate because your phone
No,
is on
that's
the
it.
bedside table
That's
right
it.
there.
Or if
you know.
nothing else, send a
Or
message.
text a mate.
Yeah.
But it's just so easy nowadays.
Oh, that's my I have a love-hate. I'm actually trying to not kill off. I'm trying to use less social media.
Right.
It's for my own mental health, to be honest.
It's become toxic.
It-
It really
that's
has, and I get drawn in.
Yeah. It's the
and I
same thing.
know
Like
it.
The other day I changed my profile picture, my personal one, not my Facebook, not the Before You Jump or anything, but like just black. It's just black.
Okay.
I wanted it plain. I didn't even want anything on it. And I did that a few days ago, and only one. My friend in Auckland, who got me onto that band I mentioned earlier, he's the first person just before to message me and goes, "What's up with that?"
Yeah.
No one's asked.
Because I know that is a thing on Facebook. But
is it? I didn't know.
Yeah. But but that was just you wanting to.
I'm trying to slowly remove myself.
Fair enough.
Now I'm still going to be active on my comedian page and my Before You Jump page.
The podcast.
But that's because I like to promote comedy, especially with my friends are in it.
Absolutely.
And Before You Jump, not that anyone follows it, we put it out as well. But yeah, my own personal social media, I want to.
And that makes sense too, because social media is, we all use it in different ways.
Yeah.
And so, our page is, technically it isn't ours. But we have to be aware that what we put on there, anyone really can see, unless you got the right security measures on, and even then, and then we get to choose how to use it how we wish.
Yeah,
and some people forget that, like they get dragged in, or they feel as if this person isn't doing that, or that there's a time frame.
Yes.
Like, that somebody that you have to reply to somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got a friend who keeps on saying, "Sorry, I took so long to reply," and I just go, "I don't have a time frame for you to reply."
Cows does that. Cows does that, and I always tell him, "Bro, no, you reply when you want."
You reply when you want. There is no time frame.
Yeah.
It's not.
But for me, the thing I found, I caught myself just the other day doing it, and I was scrolling through. It wasn't even Facebook as such.
Were you doom scrolling?
I don't know what that is like.
It's like, I do. Politicals do it. It's horrible, and it's mentally. It's bad for mental health.
Yeah.
It's like you specifically look for things.
That
are anti.
I wasn't so much that, but I was doing something similar because I started falling down rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Especially now that they do the shorts and the reels, whatever you want to call them. They're just short, 30-second TikTok, whatever. I was spending too much time with that, not enough time in front of that person sitting over there or the other ones inside. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, no, absolutely. I'm going to remove all this. I removed all social media from my phone. Yeah. It's on my computer, but it's not on my phone.
Cool idea.
So if I want it, I have to get up, and we know what that is, as a lazy person and someone with mental health, and go somewhere and turn a machine on and sit. Do you know what I mean? And so I have to want to do it.
Oh my God. See, you've just said something else, and I want to talk about it.
Okay, let's do it. We can keep going.
As a lazy person, because I call myself a lazy person too. I'm brilliant, but I'm lazy. Yeah. Right? And I say that.
Yeah.
I'm brilliant, but I'm also an alcoholic, and I say that. But I'm talking to you right now, sober as. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yes.
You're running a podcast.
Yeah.
Like here we are today.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What's lazy about that?
Yeah. I know what you mean. I say that. I don't list like I got up and I did the dishes and this morning and blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like,
but we, I am lazy, but also, I strive to do stuff.
Yes.
Like there's some weeks where I look and I go, why aren't I doing that?
Yeah.
Like I can actually sit there and feel guilty.
Yeah.
In the middle of my depression, because I feel as if I should be doing something. Yeah. Like I'm looking at something and in my mind I'm like, I should be there doing something.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And I mentally can't. Like I would probably be more of a hindrance. Yeah. If I did put myself in the middle of a situation where, but in my mind, I'm thinking I should be there. Yeah. But I'm not being lazy.
No.
You know. But but sometimes I am, like the power of a job half done.
Yeah.
Never underestimate the
Yeah.
power of a job half done, a little bit here and a
So
little
true.
bit there and a little bit
Yeah.
there, and before you know it, that job's done, we can tick that off,
Yeah.
And so,
I've already forgotten what the before you jump was. What was it again? Oh, talk to someone. Reach
to
out.
someone, reach out. Absolutely.
Reach out. Oh, that's where I was going with that. My favourite thing is that green dot on Messenger. Active.
Oh, right, yes.
Because I can look and go, oh, Carl's active. I'll catch up with
I
him.
try to turn that off.
Look, I'm just using you as an example.
Yeah, no.
But do you know what I mean? Like, I go, oh.
But that's the mental health. I want that off. I don't want people to know when I'm active.
Yeah.
Because that way I can actually choose when to connect.
Yeah.
I don't want people to look at it and go, oh, Carl's active, I'll just,
I'll message him.
I'll message him.
Yeah.
I want the choice.
Yeah.
When I am mentally able to.
Yeah.
So I will miss phone calls. I will miss,
Yeah.
And because I'm just not mentally able to, and it's not personal to the person.
No.
It's just myself. So I don't want people to know.
I totally get it. And that's why I always say to Carl's when he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I never, blah, blah, blah. And I have a few friends like that. And I'm like, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
Like, is my message, unless my message is, I'm on fire. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Don't.
Yeah.
Most of my messages start with the same thing. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Hey, how are you?
And if people expect it of me, I say, I didn't realise that my messaging was on a time constraint. I had no idea.
Yeah.
And for further reference, it never is.
Yeah. That's it. Carl, you've got. Sorry, I'm going to just shit on myself here. You've got social media. If people want to follow you, you've actually got a public page.
Carl.kiwi is my whole everything.
Okay,
so
whether
it's Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's Twitter, whether it's LinkedIn, even whether it's all Carl.kiwi.
Yeah, that's Carl with a K.
Carl with a K, Kiwi with a K.
Yeah.
And my website is carl.kiwi.nz.
Okay, cool. Carl.kiwi.nz. There you go, folks. If you want to know more, message or even reach out to Carl and say, love the episode.
Yeah, fantastic.
Or
I might not answer straight away.
No, we just established that. But if you want to know more, if you want to reach out or whatever, he's a good dude, and I love talking to him.
I try to be.
That's before you jump. We'll have Carl's back at some point when he's done with his facelifts and changes and alterations and Easy E. And
photos or it never happened.
Yeah, he's gonna hate that. He's gonna hate that I said all that. But fuck him. I say with love. Sorry. Can I one more time? One more time. 0800 543 354.
Absolutely.
Message a mate, message a friend, message a whānau, message your priest, your rabbi, your spiritual guider, your whoever you
if
need.
If you're an alcoholic, you've got a Alcoholic Anonymous mate.
Yep.
If you've got
or if you don't have one yet, find one.
Prayer tree.
Yep.
Yep.
It just never ends.
Yep.
And the other thing is, if the first person doesn't get it, keep going.
Yeah.
Keep messaging till you get that person who goes, I am with you. And I understand, and whatever. I found one of those guys the other day. It was Matthew Billy, believe it or not.
Oh yeah.
And we just
I totally
we
believe
just
it.
got
actually.
it, and we were just
I totally believe it with Matthew. He's a unique individual.
I call him the best father of all time because I truly believe it. That's it. We keep babbling. That's the end of the podcast. Play the music.